present simple. Have you ever wondered, what is it and why do you need it? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. Present simple is a verb tense. This helps us understand when the action takes place. In this case, present simple refers to the present, as you may have guessed it already. It is also very useful if we want to make sentences, whether in speaking or writing. Good. Now we know what is present simple and why is it important. So let's move further, shall we? You might ask, okay, but which one is it? How do I recognize it? Let's speak about the form of the present simple, because yes, it has a very specific form that always remains the same. Sounds easy, right? Let's see. We have here a basic, easy-to-understand scheme. The subject, plus short infinitive. This is our verb. The short infinitive refers to the dictionary form of the verb, the form by which you find the verb in the dictionary. So look at the scheme. We also have an example to make things easier. Here you can see who is the subject and what is the verb, the short infinitive. Now, this is very important. In a very specific case, in the third person, meaning he, she, it, we add s or es. I will explain it in a moment. So, subject plus short infinitive plus s or es in the third person. Okay, so when do we add es? It's very simple. We add es at the end of our verb when the verb ends in ch, sh, o, s, and x. Let's take an example to make things even more clear. Wash and washes. She washes her scarf every weekend. But I wash my hat every day. Remember, we add s or es only in the third person, meaning he, she, it. Now, if everything is clear, let's see the present simple forms for both questions and negations. Because yes, we have schemes for these two also. If we want to negate our sentence in short, to say no, we have to make some changes in our sentence. Look at this scheme. To negate a sentence, we have to add two words. The verb do and the negation, which in this case is not. Subject plus do not or does not plus short infinitive. Did you get it? When do we use does instead of do? Exactly. In the third person, it's just adding an s to the verb. Let's see an example. She does not or doesn't wash her scarf every weekend. Easy, right? But I want you to pay great attention here. We added es to our verb, right? Do became does. But why? And why do we need it? Can't we just say she washes not her scarf every weekend? Well, not really. It is still correct, although this one is a more stylistic, old way of expressing ideas. If we want to negate sentences in present simple the standard way, we have to add the verb do, which is only here to help us negate the sentence. However, it does not have any meaning in the sentence. Also, very important, look again at the example and our scheme. You can see that we added s to the verb do and not to the short infinitive, wash. That is because it's the verb do that we conjugate. Only the verb do. So s or es will be added in the third person only to the verb do and never to the short infinitive when we negate a sentence or ask a question in the present simple tense. To form questions in the present simple tense, we only have to change the order of the words. Do or does with the subject. Here is our scheme. Do or does plus subject plus short infinitive. Does she have science lessons every week? Yes, she does. As we have already seen, do is the verb to which we add s or es. This rule is valid for both negations and questions. And that's it. You know now how to make sentences with present simple. Let's do a short recap. We have three schemes to help us. One for the affirmative sentences. Subject plus short infinitive plus s or es in the third person. She washes her scarf every weekend. One for negation. Subject plus do not or does not plus short infinitive. She does not or doesn't wash her scarf every weekend. And one for questions. Do or does plus subject plus short infinitive. Does she have science lessons every week? We now know how to make sentences with the present simple tense. But there is still one more question that must be answered. When do we use present simple? Because it is not only the present time feature that we have to take into account. It has its own characteristics that we have to be aware of in order to use it correctly. We'll take it from the beginning. In order to know when to use it, we have something that we call values. These help us understand when exactly to use the present simple. Let's see. We have 5 very specific situations that tell us when to use the present simple tense. Generic value. This refers to a generic action, a general truth, a situation that is generally valid. Let's see an example. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. This is a general truth that is, of course, generally valid. Water always boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It has always boiled at 100 degrees Celsius, and it will always do. Let's see another example. I work as a teacher. This refers to a generic action. I always work as a teacher. This is my job. It has always been and it always will be. Habitual value. This one requires a routine. It refers to an action that always takes place. For example, she goes swimming in the morning. We can clearly see that this is a routine. She goes swimming every day in the morning. Future action. Yes, we can sometimes express the future, even though we use the present simple tense. Let me explain it. We can express the future using the present simple tense only when we refer to an official schedule. For instance, the train leaves at 5. This is an official timetable. It has nothing to do with my decision. The train leaves at 5 because it is scheduled to departure at that time. So, we can express future in the present simple tense only when we talk about an official schedule. The instantaneous value. This value is quite interesting. You will find this using of the present simple tense mostly in cooking shows, sports, or commentaries. Look at this example. Neymar passes the ball to Messi. He takes the ball, shoots, and scores. Present simple is used here only for a specific characteristic that it possesses. It is short. Think about a football game. It happens fast and the sportscaster has to keep up with everything that happens during that game. Isn't it easier to use the present simple tense when uttering 3 words a second? I think it is. And the last value that we have is the historic value. We have seen that we can express future with the present simple when we talk about official schedule. Well, it is also possible to talk about a past event while using the present simple. Now don't panic. This happens rarely, and it is used like that only to make the events that are being related much more interesting. So, we can say that the historic value is only a stylistic value. Here is the example. In 1066, William the Conqueror comes to Britain. As we mentioned, the present simple is used here only for stylistic purposes. It makes the whole event seem more dynamic. And that's it. It surely was a short lesson. However, I think we should recap the main ideas that we have discussed. We have 5 specific situations when we use the present simple tense. Generic value, which refers to a generic action, truth that is generally valid. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Habitual value, where we talk about a routine. She goes swimming in the morning. Future action. This refers only to official schedules. The train leaves at 5. The instantaneous value. This one is used when you want to speak fast about what is happening. It is mostly used in cooking shows and in sports commentaries. He takes the ball, shoots, and scores. And the historic value. Remember, this value is used only to make things more interesting. In 1066, William the Conqueror comes to Britain. Now, I hope that this lesson is clear and that it will make you understand better when to use the present simple tense. If there are still things that might not be very clear, I recommend you watch again this video and write down the main ideas. See you next time at our next lesson.